What's up guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development for INFJs and how to create an epic life on your terms. Today we're asking the question why so many INFJs feel like they're not tapping into their potential. And it has a lot to do with our extroverted functions. I'll get into it a little later. But the point is that nobody's really tapping into their potential. But INFJs specifically are keenly aware of it. And so since we're so aware of it, why aren't we taking the steps? Why aren't we doing the things that we know deep down we could be doing? We know there's more to us, and so many keep suffering silently when there are actually steps you can take. Before we get started, I want to remind you this is Warrior Month. That's why also we talk about these topics. And since all my coaching packages are full for the year, now in Warrior Month I offer single sessions. You find all the information in the description. So let's be honest here. Nobody's really reaching their potential. We could always be doing more. It's not that any of us is really dying of exhaustion while pursuing our dream. And this is not just an INFJ thing or not. And it's also not about doing something where at the end of the day, you pretty much fall into bed because you're so exhausted. It's not about that. It's really about taking steps differently. It's about you showing up in a way that makes you feel like something is happening, like you're taking control. I always talk about leaning into something. This too is about leaning into your potential. And this is also not something where I tell you, okay, you need to do this for 5 years and then you're gonna be reaching your potential, or then you're gonna feel like you're making a difference. No, it takes one day. It takes one action. The moment you decide to lean into your potential and you do those things, you do one step, which makes you go from one direction to another one. It's that step alone that will make you feel like you're leaning into your potential. Yes, this potential will grow. Yes, you feel excited with every single step, but I'm here to tell you, the moment you take that first step, that's the key. That's the one that makes you feel differently. And I'm talking out of personal experience. This is not just something that I work with my client on. It's not only something we talk about in the boot camp. It's something that I experienced myself 100%ly. So I'm not somebody who's always reached her potential, who always felt like, oh, I have this desire and I'm going for it. For the longest time, I was that person who felt like life is happening outside of me. The person who knew there's more to me. I have more strength than this. I know I can reach so much, but I didn't know how to approach it. I knew that it was out there, but I was disconnected from it. I felt paralyzed. And I'm here to tell you today that this doesn't have to be your destiny. You can change that. You can change that in such a way that you never ever feel like this again. Because since I started my journey, really probably for the last 6 years, I've never felt like I wasn't leaning into my potential. I know there's way more to reach, but I know that I'm tapping into it. I know that I'm growing into it. And today I want to talk to you how you can take those steps. Because on the one hand, it is more complex than most people make it out to be. But on the other hand, you do have the strength to make it happen. Most people are oblivious to this. They go through life, maybe they feel like they could be doing more, but it's not really on their radar. It doesn't really bother them. So that's no problem. But for us, this is something that is constantly present. And this presence is annoying and it numbs you and makes you feel depressed and sad, and it doesn't have to be like this. So let's talk about it. Why on the one hand we're so aware of that we have more to offer and where this could all go, and on the other hand, what makes it so much harder for us, because it is always a two-sided sword here. Always. We might have some benefits in one area, we might have some gifts here, but there are also challenges that come with this. And if we find out what they are, and if we find out how to balance it, it's a dream come true. So the first thing we have to talk about is our introvert intuition. Introvert intuition is the reason why we feel there's more. Because what we can see, we feel like we can create. For people like us who are so strongly connected to their introverted intuition, it's hard to distinguish between what is reality and what is in our mind. And I very often talk about how that can be a hurdle, how we have to be careful about this. But on the other hand, this is the biggest opportunity ever. Because what do we have to do in order to manifest things? And manifesting in a way of make it real, right? This is not some esoteric thing. It's just getting a thought and putting it into action and making making it concrete. So one of the things that really help us to push things forward is the fact that our intuition, our imagination of what the future could be becomes so real to us. It's like this becomes our reality and we start acting from that point. That is the greatest gift ever. That is the thing that makes you feel like you're not reaching into your potential, because what you can imagine, you can create. So that's why this is so obvious to us. But on the other hand, why are we then not taking those steps? Why are we really taking a step back and just saying, yeah, this is really what I want, but I don't know how to go about this. There's nothing that actually represents this in the real world. And that's when we get to our extroverted functions. They are the ones who are keeping us at bay. They are the reason we so often go into the NITI loop. We stay in our mind, which in itself is of course not very beneficial if you go overboard. We've talked about this many times that, this leads to depression. This leads to you having a reality break, to completely dissociate from reality, because it feels so much better than actually going for the real thing. The real thing is boring. The real thing is anything but your imagination. But it's going to stay this way if you don't take action. Doing something and improving your reality will show you before you know it that you can create amazing things in reality that get closer and closer to your vision, and therefore you can actually expand your vision and continuously go ahead with your vision always being 2 or 3 steps before your action. But you're going to get better at this. You're going to grow because you do take those actions. So let's talk about those 2 functions in particular. FE. What is FE about? FE is about creating an emotional atmosphere. It's about making people feel something. It's not just about understanding emotional atmospheres. It's also about creating them. It's also about having an impact on them. But here lies one of the biggest challenges we have, which is that we're so aware of how people will react. We're so aware that what we say has an impact on others. We're so aware of if something we say disrupts harmony, if something we do makes people uncomfortable. We're aware of people's judgment, and the list goes on and on. That is a fact. We're aware of this. And on the one hand, as I've said many times, this is a great benefit. This is a gift. This is something you should use, and you can make great things happen in the real world. But this can also be the reason why you're holding yourself back. Because when you start creating something in the real world, it will be far from your image. It will be far from your vision. And therefore, guess what? It will suck. Doesn't matter what you start, the first times are never going to be great, and people are going to judge you for it. And the goal, of course, is not that people stop judging you. The point is to get to a place where that judgment is completely oblivious to you. Because in the end, it's not about if people judge you. It's about you focusing on that. And the only way to really stop focusing on this is if you continuously put yourself in situations and you learn that your thoughts don't have to be a reflection of what other people might think. A great example I always use in this scenario is, for example, let's say you're sitting in a meeting room and you're wearing a green shirt. So there may be this one person in the back of the room who thinks like, oh wow, why is he or she wearing a green shirt? That's so ugly. But you don't even think about that. The only thing you're worried about in this moment is what you're saying, how people interpret your intellect, and maybe something that has to do with your performance. This is just an example. I'm telling you this because you decide to focus on person A and B who might be judging you on your performance or on what you're saying. If you don't care about the fact that you wear a green shirt because in your eyes the green shirt is perfectly fine, there's no problem with it, and on top of it, why even think about the shirt? You're not going to be even aware of that person sitting in the back judging you for the shirt. That is to show you that it's never about how people judge you, because if they judge you or not has nothing to do with you in the first place. And the more often you actually express your true wishes, your visions, the things you start working on, the more the people who are actually attracted to this come your way, and the people who have no connection to this go further away. But this only happens if you're honestly oblivious to that judgment, if you become free of it. And you cannot become free of it by hiding from it. You cannot become free by saying, I'm never going to be good enough, so I don't start. My reality is so boring, so I'm always going to stay in my mind. No, the question is, what is the first step that will get you a little closer to that vision? And it might be a really small step. It might be not exactly what you want to do for the rest of your life, but it will get you there, because all of this is an exponential curve. So meaning in the beginning, it will feel like you're barely making an improvement, but that is one of the things you actually feel. You feel like you're tapping into that potential. Even if that exponential curve is really, really flat in the beginning, you do feel that, because what you do is you choose to believe in what you're thinking about yourself. You make a choice of putting yourself in a situation where you know people are going to judge you for not being good enough, and you're okay with that. It's not that you say, people are gonna like me, I don't have to worry. It's about saying, I like myself because I know why I'm taking this step. I know that I will never be satisfied with not tapping into my potential. I'm okay with people finally seeing that I'm imperfect, when before I was able to sort of hide it because I wasn't living it out. The moment you step into the arena, that's when you feel like people are going to see your imperfections. If you don't do anything, if you don't express anything, there's nothing you can be judged about. And this is something we INFJs do so often. Don't get me wrong. Yes, I know that INFJs are considered like, people who get bullied and because we're different, but it always comes back to, I'm doing this out of a dynamic of feeling like I really am not good enough, and I want to have that constant feedback. Not because you want to hurt yourself, just because that's how our mind is built up. We want to have a reality that reflects what we really believe. So if we really believe there's something wrong with us or we're weird, we're subconsciously going to do things and be around people who actually do think we're weird, because that's a reflection of what we really think. But if you decide, no, I'm special, I know what my potential is, and I don't know how far I'll reach it, but I know for sure that I'm not going to stop. I'm going to lean into this, and I'm willing to be judged, because I'm going to learn to keep my thoughts at my goal. I'm going to make sure that I learn where to focus my intention and my thoughts and my hopes to, and I'm not going to worry about what other people think who are not taking those steps themselves. So that is the whole thing with FE. That is what we have to conquer. And then let's not forget about extroverted sensing either. That is another hurdle we have to understand. We value extroverted sensing. It's something that we love. And therefore, we're very often attracted to people who have a stronger extroverted sensing within their system. We see that, and it's something that makes us feel alive. It's something that makes us feel like, oh, they're creating reality. SE is about really making an impact. It's not just about making other people feel something. It's about changing reality in a physical sense. It's about doing something that wasn't there before and now it's there. It's about conquering. It's about fighting. It's about tapping into your warriorism. The problem with this is that we never feel it's strong enough. It's not strong enough in comparison to other people. And the moment we actually tap into it and allow other people to see that, they will not help us. They will not see us as a sidekick, because the only way we are able to survive and thrive as being the sidekick or the helper or the observer is because we become this extension of other people's lives. This is something we can do when we're in this NITI world, but most of us go overboard. We feel like that's the solution to all. This is how I'm going to get through life. I'm going to attach myself to somebody who already has a plan, and by me helping them, I get to create a reality as well. I get to co-create with them. The thought is admirable. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no judgment here, because I've done it many times, and I think this is one of the qualities we do have. It doesn't have to be something that you look at negatively. But the point of this is, no matter what, it's never your vision that's being realized. It's always somebody else's vision, and your vision stays in the background. The only way your vision can come to life is if you tap into your own extroverted sensing. You take the steps to make it happen. And the moment you do this, the moment you tap into your own extroverted sensing, you realize how much weaker it is than other people's. You see that, yes, you do this and you won't be perfect, and it won't work fast, and it will be something that will take time to build, and it's something that requires energy. That's why we talk in the 5 pillar system so much about physical energy management. We need to gain energy, and we need to put it into the things we want, into our potential. The great thing about this whole thing is that your SE doesn't have to be as strong as other people's, because your biggest gift is your vision. Your biggest gift is the fact that you can hold on to what you believe is going to happen. Your biggest gift is the fact that you align to that vision and you become one with it. And then you're okay if it takes longer, because in the end, consistency, longevity, those are the things that really make a difference. Those are the things that bring you across the finish line. And the moment you take control of FE and SE by saying, I'm okay to being judged, and I'm taking the steps no matter how small they are, but I know they're mine. I'm doing this my way. I'm tapping into my potential. You do this one time. You start this and you know you're not doing this for a second, then you look how are people reacting, and then you take a step back. You know that this is something you're going to continuously choose. It's something that from now on you will never be able to let go of. This is a commitment for life, because once you get into this, it's something you never want to let go of, because it gives you power. It makes you feel like you are completely alive. And I can tell you, as I said, the first steps, no matter how small they seem, they already made me feel like, yes, I will never feel like that person who isn't tapping into their potential. Guys, you got this. Start fighting for yourself. It's not about putting in a lot of effort. It's about consistently choosing yourself and saying that the alternative isn't an option anymore. Remember, if you want my help with this process, then work with me privately. You find all the information below. And if you want to watch another video now that is in line with today's topic, then watch the video on INFJs never being the hardest working person in the room. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I'll talk to you next time.